Do you think it's over? I mean, do you think I'm done?
Don't go there.
It's too late.
I know it's frustrating. There's just not a lot of stuff for women of a certain age.
Ready?
Tell me what's going on.
That's great, thank you.
I grew up watching reruns of you in The Coach's Daughter.
There's no sin in getting older.
Where am I supposed to go for 4 days?
Stay with your kids, maybe?
I have no kids.
Hey, come visit.
There's a lot on my plate, Lenny.
Well, you can't hide from us forever.
I just want you to have the best chance that medicine can provide.
Funny that we both ended up on the West Coast.
I guess you went with isolation.
And what'd you go with? Adulation?
I actually thought that I'd be making a living with my camera.
What happened?
It just seemed like a big pipe dream.
Don't leave, Joe.
I got a call about you from this NBC pilot I submitted you on.
A network pilot? Really?
You should come to my class. Teach your kids about acting.
Not qualified to do that anymore.
When Mom and Dad were dying,
Oh, here we go.
you should think about what you're doing and why.
You should do the same thing.
I gotta pack.
You'll never understand what it is to love somebody more than you love yourself. You're just too selfish.
It's called survival.
Acting. It's pretty much a hobby now, you know?
This is it for her.
What's that supposed to mean?
Maybe it means you're past your expiration date.
And I want to welcome Anne-Marie Johnson on the show. My boy Mike G, we're out here in the Tampa area. And how are you doing?
First of all, I'm not wearing the same shirt that it looks like. I just like wearing pink. I just want to make that very, very clear. I have more than one shirt. I'm good. Thank you for having me. And, it's always good to be with you guys. So hello.
Hello. Hey, Mike, what's going on, man? It's been a minute. Mike, how's it going, man?
Yes, it has. It has. It's going good. Doing the Vast podcast too. It's affiliation with Embrace the Power and doing that. And also, welcome back, Anne-Marie. I saw the movie. Dynamic, raw, and to the point, man. It was pretty cool. It had me stuck. It had me stuck on the couch. I was like, wow, this is really direct.
We like to refer to it as a thinking person's film, where you, after the credit roll, you're still wondering, you're still thinking about the characters. You're thinking about how it relates to your life, regardless of where you are in your life. Even though it is a female-driven film, we have found out throughout all of our theatrical screenings that it doesn't matter how you identify yourself, male, female, it doesn't really matter. It hits on issues that if you're not facing it now, you'll be facing it in the very near future.
Exactly, especially in Hollywood, because like I was reading something about you as well. Well, I saw an interview of you. You said 35 is like the cutoff.
Yes, for women. For women. Yeah, not for men. Men can continue to work. Men can continue to work even if they're on life support. For some reason, women were no longer considered viable in our industry if we are, of a particular age, beyond childbearing age, and so we are relegated to supporting roles unless you're on the top level of the industry, both in television and features. The overwhelming majority of female actors either retire early or just struggle, as we see in the film, to remain viable. It's no one has forced us to be in this business, but there's this false impression that Hollywood is so precious and and forgiving and empathetic and liberal, and it's not. It is a cutthroat business, and the industry would work with Hitler if he were still available. That's how it is.
Well, you know, you've been in the business 30 plus years, almost 40 years, and you started when you were young. There's a viable thing that, I mean, Meryl Streep, that you can start, if you really look, you can look at the number of actresses or actors that have been on TV and stuff. And I have to say, your staying power and your resiliency is pretty powerful, considering the current company. If you look around, and you're a 1%er, let's just be clear, right?
I would be in the industry. I would be considered a 1%er, but not certainly in my earnings stream. But as a working careered actor, yeah, I would be considered that.
All right, so Martin directed the movie Your Husband, and there was a lot of things. So what I think is he pushed the feeling of the actors to actually talk about things that really impact in that environment. So my question is, as a director, why? I mean, he did a great job, as I think, pushing the envelope on that one, the several parts of the movie. One, when your sister's talking about cancer, and then the second one when you're interviewing on the interview. How did you feel about the fact that he wanted that much tension, but also that much reality in those two different segments?
Well, Martin is a very observant person, and as a former actor himself, but more of a screenwriter director now, he understands the levels of commitment emotionally that an actor has to give if we really want to sell a scene.
Right.
The goal of selling a scene, you've successfully sold a scene, is when the audience has a visceral reaction to it. And Marty also wrote the script. So the screenplay is raw, as Mike said. It's exceedingly raw, not necessarily the type of raw that people get really excited. There's no violence. There's no sex. There are very few curse words.
Right.
These are real situations portrayed in a very organic, raw fashion. We stripped down. There was no hair and makeup on the set. The lighting was natural. Very few artificial light elements were used. If you notice, the camera was not afraid to get closer to the subject as opposed to further away. And Marty and our director of photography, David, they knew that they were going to spend a lot of time in silence. So there are multiple moments in this film where the viewer is allowed to breathe, is allowed to, okay, I am breathing and I am listening and I am really feeling this. And that was all intentional. None of that was improvisational. That was Marty's vision, and it worked.
Wow. I'm not going to knock on this. I'll let Mike go. Let me just throw this in there, Mike. So I went back and looked after I saw your movie. I went back and looked at probably about 10 late 1970s movies. And honestly, the authenticity of certain movies that were done in the 70s were based theoretically, and don't tell Martin, don't age me out and get mad at me, but his cinematography fit that blueprint.
And that's intentional. And that's intentional.
Okay, because it was that edginess was there. And
you were right. The framing was not neat and clean. The framing was raw. We consider raw in the industry. It was a lot of static, scenic shots. So you, the viewer, felt like you were there. The scene where we're on the cliff and I'm having that heart-to-heart conversation with my nephew, and he's worried about his mother. And we're sitting on this boulder, and you see the ocean. You see it. We shot this in the Northern Pacific area, and you see the beauty of it. It was really important for Marty to make the location another character in the film, because that's how important it was to the characters.
Oh yeah, go ahead, Mike.
Well, the crying scene. Did you push that out, or you had to get a drop, or because that was nice?
Well, there are some actors who are considered criers.
Okay.
and crying on cue is difficult.
Yes.
And it's even more difficult when you have a limited shooting schedule. It's not like we had all day because we were dependent on the setting sun. So, we had to get it done, and we were in a public area that was going to start to get more noisy. And so you kind of have to deliver. And when Marty said, you have to deliver, this was going to be our last take, and I'm moving in close. So I want to see that one tear coming out of your left eye.
That was good. That was good. Yeah. Also, I noticed the movie, like you said, it wasn't that much clothing and makeup. No. Was that a different whole element for you from coming from an environment?
Unbelievable. Yeah, it was really, it really rocked my normal world, because the work that I do in television and film, you spend 45 minutes in the hair and makeup trailer, and you have these exceptionally trained people who've done Academy Award winning and Emmy winning projects, applying the makeup and doing the hair. And then you spend a day being dressed, and they're choosing your wardrobe and we were on our own. Marty said, no, these have to look like real people who don't have the advantages of having professional people fix them. So we had to be very honest with the actors, and we said, are you going to be comfortable with this? Because this is going to be completely different. But as Vince mentioned, I mean, that's how films were made in the 60s and 70s. When the explosion of independent filmmaking happened, it was really, and it started with the French. It was really all natural. It's supposed to look like a documentary. It's supposed to look like a camera just happened to fall out of heaven and catch you in that moment. And that's why that's what we chose to do, and we stuck with it.
Yeah, great point. And, so the Daily Actor stated that this was probably one of your best pieces of work ever. And that they said, and you kind of iterated that. So why do you feel that this was one of your best pieces that you've done in your career?
I think it's because, I trusted the screenwriter and the director. So that was a plus. And my career has been wonderful. I have no complaints about my career. And I've been afforded wonderful roles, and I've auditioned for 99% of the roles that you see me on the screen. But I'm rarely given the opportunity to play a character this complicated, this honest. When I do sitcoms, I do sketch comedy and I do broad comedy. When I do drama, they're usually procedurals like police shows, law shows, doctor shows. It's very professional, very put together. Nighttime drama, nighttime soap operas. This was the first time that I was given the opportunity to play a character that I couldn't use my bag of tricks. Every actor has a bag of tricks, and I wasn't allowed to use any of those bag of tricks because Joe, the character I portray, is nothing like me. So I had to dig deep and try to understand this person because she was alien to me. And I couldn't use my usual tricks. So that's why I think it's the best work I've ever done.
Oh, okay.
Very nice. Very nice. Question on that one is, was it two questions? Did you have to try out for the role, or was it already?
I had to sleep with the director.
The premiere.
Mike, you walked into that one. You walked into that.
That was too easy, Mike. Come on.
Make it work.
Well, the second question is, I was reviewing some notes. Do you see yourself doing comedy? Because now you got the ball rolling again.
Well,
you're back in it.
That's so funny because my team, my manager and agent said, okay, now can we submit you back for comedy? Is it okay? Do you want to? I love doing comedy. I really do. And I've been fortunate I just do both, whatever comes first, whatever job speaks to me. And so yeah, I would love to go back after I shot. After we wrapped on The Addiction of Hope, I was flown out to England to do a comedy, a pilot for ABC. So it didn't get picked up, but that was a comedy. So I was able to, go from one to the other. So yeah, I think what's most important, regardless of the genre, I just want to go back to something that is meaningful, that people sit and they talk about it. And I'm not, no offense, but I'm so done with things that mean nothing.
The remakes.
Pardon me?
The
rebooting and all, and the life is so, as we all know, what's been going on for the past, you fill in the number. Nationally, things are just so dangerous right now with regard to our democracy and safety and freedom of religion and freedom of thought, and it's we don't have time for silliness, really. I think we need. It's almost like I study film of the 40s, the 30s and the 40s.
Right. Yes.
And during World War II, there was propaganda films where they wanted to uplift the country because men and women were dying in such high numbers and spending 4 to 5 years. Vince, I don't have to explain this to you, in combat. And unlike now, communication was here, was very difficult. You wouldn't get a letter from your loved one for 2 to 3 to 4 months. You would have absolutely no idea if your loved one was alive. So the country came together, kind of. I mean, we still had segregation, racism, sexism, but the country still kind of came together to protect some semblance of democracy, because we didn't want to be what was going on.
Right.
We're not doing that now. We're more splintered now. And we're at war. We're at war both with Iran. We're at war with ourselves. We're experiencing a civil war in this country that we haven't experienced since 1856. Barring minus the overt slavery that we were dealing with during the Civil War, we are dealing with a type of enslavement now. And I think our entertainment needs to reflect that. I think we need to be adult enough to watch adult content to educate people about what it really is to be an American. And we're missing the mark. And and that's why we have so many idiots. That's why we have so many influencers. That's why we have so many vapid conversations, because people have become ignorant to the truth. So the next work I do, I'd like it to have some weight to it. Even if it's a comedy, Hollywood Shuffle.
Look, I'm about to hit you with a loaded question. So you didn't trigger me. So no. I just want to say, even though Hollywood Shuffle was funny, Hollywood Shuffle was deep. Hollywood Shuffle had a real message. That's what I'd like to go back to. Yeah. Anyway. That's right. So you brace yourself there. You can answer this or you don't want it. You don't have to answer this, but you're in Hollywood. So this is Vince's Bugs opinion and take. All right. So we're even with the shift in the Beltway, since the shift in the Beltway, what I have seen from a theatrical or television standpoint is European Americans have brought back Westerns, Yellowstone, the 1800s, and everything is about masculinity, cowboys. My issue, and I had this conversation, so it's a great conversation, but you do not have to answer it, but I'll put it out there for myself, is African Americans are still depicted as either rappers or gang members or broke people struggling, but there's no masculinity, and they constantly, and no knock on women, they constantly project as the African American women are always in the lead, and so you don't have a vast number like Sidney Poitier's, Shaft guys, Richard Roundtree's. You don't have a vast number of African American males in lead roles, except Michael B. Jordan, maybe. Congratulations to him on his award. But you don't see the same thing with you got Blue Ridge, you got Yellowstone. I could go down the list. It's a huge list of that masculine cowboy, conquer the world, manifest destiny attitude in Western society. But you don't see that being projected unless you got Denzel Washington in The Equalizer, but you don't see that coming out of Hollywood for black films. And I'm trying to ask you, as a person that's there working around it, what's your take on that, if you'd like to answer? Or why are we not evolving? We're seeing some more movies like we had in the 70s when you had Fred Williams, you had Richard Roundtree, you had Jim Brown, you had Jim Kelly. I could go at Pam Grier. You had a list of low budget movies made, but they were pretty decent.
I think there's not just one answer to that.
Right.
I think movie making is not about art. Movie making is about commerce.
Okay.
And there's very little originality in movie making, right? It's all derivative. So one person does something and then everyone else has to do the same thing, right? So Yellowstone was a hit. So now we have to have all Yellowstones and everything is about the white cowboy. And we all know the original cowboy was not white, but that's another conversation.
Right. If you know the history, you know where it comes from, because the Cowboys were the ones that managed the farm. But let's go.
I'm just saying. But people are lulled into the white savior image, and both black, brown, white people, they get very comfortable with the white patriarch image. So, and it sells globally. Right. And that's right. All the decision makers and the networks and the studios, they don't care about authenticity, obviously, because it's about selling soap. They call it selling soap, but the only reason why television was created was to sell a product. That's why we had television. So it's all about how much money can a studio make. And they still believe, even though we've proven them wrong over and over and over and over again, they still believe that white men between the ages of 30 and up are the most profitable product to export out of Hollywood. Now, we know that's not true, because African-American films and the African-American ticket buyer is huge, makes billions of dollars. Sinners is a perfect example, even though that wasn't the first kind of hit, but Sinners is the most recent example of how much money it made at the box office. Academy Award winning film, led by African Americans in front of the camera and behind the camera. But the sad part is we can name those films on our hands. It should be like, oh, in this film and that film and that film and that film, but it's not. It's still so unique. It's the unicorn, it's really, really unique. So we have to be very honest that Hollywood, the industry, and I only say Hollywood because it kind of, it's the label, but it's not just geographically Hollywood, but the industry is exceedingly racist. The industry is exceedingly sexist. The industry is very comfortable with many isms, ageism, racism, you name it. It's very comfortable with it because it's private. Art is subjective, and that's the cloak in which we're covered with when we continue to promulgate racist images. And what makes it even worse, we as African Americans still buy tickets to those films. We as African Americans still make that content. We can't just blame it on white people any longer. We, as African Americans, are in decision-making positions, and we still have a victim mentality, and we still have a I got mine mentality, and we still are dealing with generational toxicity and trauma from enslavement.
Right,
So
within the community.
it's going to take us a long time. We will not see it in our lifetimes, but it's going, and to be fair, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years of enslavement, Jim Crow, segregation, violence, purely because of the color of our skin. It's going to take generations for us to break out of it. And
well, you're only 62 years removed from segregation. So let's be clear about this.
We have relatives, right? We have
Right.
relatives who are still alive, who are telling us about when they could not go to a particular, and you fill in the blank.
Hospital, movie. But yeah, but you're only 62 years removed from from segregation to integration. So we've only been integrated in the United States for 62 years. And I think a lot of people don't really can grasp their arms around that piece and how that's influenced media, how that influences social media, how that influences everything around
our voting rights. I'm old enough to know that in certain states, Black people did not have the right to vote. And
Alabama.
in 1965, there was the Voting Act, the Civil Rights Act. So it's right at our fingertips. And so we're dealing with a lot, and a lot is expected of us. But your perspective is correct. Certain images are still made and sent globally, which place us in buffoonery and secondary inhuman characteristics. And now we have AI to assist people. To put the heads of our first and best president and first lady on the bodies of gorillas, and people think that's funny.
Yeah.
And
good information. I mean, well-rounded answer, well-rounded information. I love it. Yeah, I love that. And you're in Hollywood. You're in LA. You still there, reside there, and all that. Do you bump into minority actors, Spanish, Black, whatever it may be, and they're like, "Oh, here comes Anne-Marie." Do you see that? Because you guys, like, to me, yeah, you're raw. You've been raw since day one. I've met you your second, third time on the show. Love it. And I'm raw as well. So that's what makes me hype. You just blew me up right there. So, and I'm thinking, I'm like, okay, she's in the mix. Do you see, and I'm pretty sure maybe you want to work with other people, Wayne Brothers or someone, because they were in Living Color with you and so forth and so on. Do you not avoid it, but is it hard to work with each other because they're like, oh, well, if I do this, it's going to make me look like this. Or if I do that, it's going to make me look like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's unfortunate because when I receive an audition request and I receive the script, I'm looking at it not just as, oh, is this character funny? Is this character driven? Is this character dimensional? I have to look at it with a surgeon's scalpel to make sure, is this an honest?
Wow.
Is this going to, although my mother and father have been dead for many years, I still look at it through their eyes. Is this going to negatively impact the Black community? Is this going to move the Black community forward? Is it? So honestly, my career really could have been a lot further if I didn't look at material with that type of mindset. But it was much more important for me because I am Black. Second, I'm an actor. So it's much more important to me to look at the material and is it going to cause embarrassment to the African American community? If it doesn't cause, I remember years ago, I had auditioned for the Ellen had a sitcom. Ellen DeGeneres had a sitcom.
Right.
And I auditioned for it. And I thought, oh, well, this is a really, this is kind of a sweet role. Okay, great. I auditioned for it and I got the role. And we were rehearsing and it was maybe a day before we were to shoot. And they changed some of the dialogue, which is customary in a sitcom. It happens all the time. But what they did was they changed the dialogue to make a short stature African-American man the butt of the joke. And it was for my character to set up that butt of the joke. And I walked off the set and I said, I'm not doing this. And my managers and agents were furious with me. And they said, you're never going to work for that casting director again. And I said, they used me, my notoriety, my talent, at that time, years and years and years in the business to set up a joke to demean a Black man. And I said, I'm not having anything to do with it.
So you had a Colin Powell moment, huh?
I had a Colin Powell moment. I had an Angela Davis moment. I had a Shirley Chisholm moment. I had a Jasmine Crockett moment before there was a Jasmine Crockett. I just had a moment and I walked off the set.
So, and this is what I struggle with, that African Americans and Latinos have created fashion. They've created culture. They've created so much things within America that everybody assimilates to. Yet here in Hollywood, or yet in a lot of industries, and I watch the NFL and everybody else is going through each industry is going through their own thing right now. But yet it seems like we still have so far to go.
And I'm going to eliminate what I'm about to say may sound Cosby-esque.
Okay, that's a new word for me.
I'm coining a word, Cosby-esque, since the man who shall remain nameless, at least I can expand, Cosby-esque.
That's right.
We, the collective, and we're not a monolith. I mean, we have different experiences, but we as African Americans, we need to do a better job. We cannot rely on others to tell our stories,
correct,
to raise our children, to uplift our own belief in ourselves and our ownership of this country. And we do a piss poor job at it. And you mentioned the NFL. So let's just concentrate on the NFL for a second. So the NFL, thank God for the NFL and the Players League, because without that, a large segment of the African-American male community would have not been able to create generational wealth.
Right. Checks and balance.
Really, really important, right? Because what many players do, the first thing they do is they buy property for their parents. They surround themselves with family members who were there on day one, and they don't just uplift themselves, they uplift everyone around them. So that is a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Yeah, they take care of their tribe. They go after and make their tribe.
But in the same breath, the NFL as an institution allows images and particular players to continue to play, even though we have ample evidence of these men being abusive to the females in their lives.
It's happening.
And that is presenting a very confusing message. And I'm only talking about the NFL. That is providing a very confusing message. And it also feeds in to the message of Black women saying, I don't need a man. I can do this on my own.
So you got two. So you're hurting the tribe. But
you're hurting the tribe, right?
Right.
So these are the conversations that we have to have amongst ourselves. We don't need to invite white people into the conversations, right? We don't need Caitlin Collins to moderate that conversation. But these conversations need to be televised or aired on whatever device you use. We Black people need to talk to each other, and we need to own up on where we have failed. Now, we need to understand why we failed. We need to understand our history, but we need to have that conversation on why we continue to take 10 steps forward and 20 steps backwards.
Well, using accountability, and you're using the word accountability. And that's a hard pill for for a lot of people to swallow.
And it's very painful for me to say. It's very painful for me to say. But we are such a wonderful. Can you imagine any other culture, any other ethnic group, racial group who has been through what we have been through and not gone postal every day?
I say it all the time. Like, you know, somebody made a comment the other day, and I said, if you haven't seen the journey of certain people, so I actually look, and I made this comment a couple of days ago when I was in a meeting. I said, I look at the dignity and the respect and the resilience of my grandparents and great grandparents, and their ability to hold the line under massive duress without the ability to retaliate.
No legal recourse, no physical recourse, no recourse.
And that cannot go with very little emotion. You cannot bypass that. That they were be able to do that. And now I see where we're, you know, the things on the news where we're just acting kind of crazy. So it doesn't make sense how we got from these people who were rocks and to now we just, you know, we're letting our hair down and we're getting off topic.
Because we don't have, and now we're getting into, but this is what I think is important. These are the conversations that have to take place, right?
Yeah. Right.
But I think it's because, first of all, like I said, we are dealing with generational trauma, okay, yes, on multiple levels, right? And so if the average white woman can be triggered, we are triggered every single day, and we don't even realize it. You know, the terminology triggered became very prominent in the hashtag Me Too, right? And that was predominantly a white woman experience, right? It wasn't necessarily an ethnic experience, but even though it was started by a Black woman, it was taken over by the white woman experience. So the face of Me Too were white women, not Black women, even though it was created by a Black woman, right? Because the media only wanted to feed into the white woman experience and not my experience, not the Latina experience, not the Asian American experience, not the Native American experience. It was about the white women who were abused by the industry, the Gwyneth Paltrows of the world, but not the Angela Bassett's, right?
Right.
So even though it was created by a Black woman. So we as African Americans have been forced for generations to be quiet about our trauma, or we would be lynched. Here are your choices. Speak freely and try to get reparations or try to get law enforcement to help you, or be lynched, your house is burned down, your family is massacred, your whole town is obliterated in 1922.
Well, yeah, Rosewood, and then you had, in Tulsa, right.
You weren't given a lot of options of or you're trying to march through Pettus through the bridge, and your skull is cracked open. And, you're thrown in jail with a skull busted. We weren't given a lot of options. So no wonder we have this bubbling, unresolved anger that we try to keep at bay. And that's why we have high blood pressure. Because it's quite funny, not funny, but it's quite interesting. I believe, and I think I'm right, there are two racial ethnic groups that have chronic high blood pressure: Native American and African American.
And the two that went through the most.
I rest my case, Your Honor.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're touching great subject. This is raw. This is nice. This is nice. What would you tell the upcoming actors and actresses now? Because the game has changed. We hit that topic. We hit this. Now we're hitting the topic where Hollywood is not the same. And, so what has changed, and what should the upcoming artists and the females or males, black and white, Hispanic and so forth?
What is the question? Yeah, but Mike, is it changed or is it just a different chameleon? That's the question, I think. Is it the same? Is it because it's a different way to you can have? So I look at it like a society. We've circled back around 100 times, regardless of who the president is right now and the circumstances. We keep circling back around the same flame as flies, dealing with the same thing. It just comes in a different flavor depending on the administration. And
in a micro, I'll answer this micro. I'll concentrate on Hollywood. Has it changed? Okay. Yes, it has changed. I've been in this business long enough to know the difference that there are the opportunities for people of color to work has grown leaps and bounds without question. When I was first starting out, there were just 3 networks: ABC, NBC, CBS. There was no Fox. There was no cable. HBO was kind of starting, but it was still a little odd. Content was still content, but it was being delivered in another format. But the real work, forget about the studios, forget about films, because Black people were non-existent in films for the longest of time in meaningful roles.
That's right. Main character roles. Right.
Main character roles, or even supporting roles. So yes, the opportunities for people of color have improved immeasurably. It's crazy how it has improved, because we can create our own content. YouTube, the digital platforms, there's myriad ways of distribution of our work. The sad part is we are piss poor. African Americans and other minorities still don't get 100% of the dollar as our white counterpart. Even though there are more opportunities, entertainment has become ghettoized, where it is sent to a particular place. Okay, BET, Bounce, TV One, sometimes streamers, but the pay cannot compare to the pay of other distributors and other networks and studios.
Underfunded, man.
It's underfunded, and the appreciation of talent and money, there's still, there's still some gaping holes. So yeah, opportunities bound left and right, wonderful opportunities, but you can't make a living at this. And this is across the board. This is truly across the board. It doesn't matter. White people aren't making money at it either. The middle class actor, they are forcing us out. They are creating. The industry has figured it out, and they soon will no longer need us. And that's why we have AI. The average actor, a background actor in LA, consents to being scanned. They go to a certain location, and every aspect of their affectations, their movement, their physicality is scanned. And that those scans are put in a library. And this sounds like a science fiction film. Let me tell you something. This is real. And they can you sign off, and they can use your likeness forever on.
And that's it. And you don't get paid for it.
You're paid once, and that is it. So what I did, and I encourage other actors of my stature to do, is I have revised my living trust and my will, and I will never consent, even when I've passed on, my executors, my attorney, and I filed it with my lawyer, will never consent to have my performances altered by the use of AI.
Wow.
And you can do that, but you will be booted out of the business, because now when you audition, the approval of AI is a condition of employment.
Is it really?
Condition of employment. So I lose jobs because I don't check off that box.
Wow. I like that.
So younger actors, what I tell younger actors is have another career. Don't rely on this. Make this your hobby, like pickleball, but don't expect to have a pension or health insurance or any kind of security as an actor, because at any time, 95% of our union is unemployed.
Yes, and I'm glad you said that, because that was a great segue. What you just said was you need to have a hobby, because in your movie, Addiction of Hope, you're sitting and talking to an actress and she goes, this just became my hobby and real estate's going to be my real deal. So could you, so you did. So yeah, you walked that dog right into that conversation.
That's real. That's real.
That real conversation you had with the other actress. What was her name?
That's Erika Alexander.
That's who I thought. Because I told somebody she was on some other movies I had seen.
Yeah. No, Erika's huge. She's got a wonderful career.
So explain how you guys got that written into the movie, because that was perfect segue.
Because in at least in high earning markets like in real estate, Los Angeles, New York, San Francisco, maybe Miami, but not so much as it is here. Many realtors are actors. It's a real perfect transition, because you're acting, you're showing, you're talking, you're reciting the same thing. This is 125 square feet closet. That's what actors do. That's all we do. So we make excellent realtors. And so many actors, two of my close friends are realtors. Yeah.
Wow.
So that is a truism.
So that was the part when you sold the house, you were selling the house, and that was the part where she ended up selling your house and before you went out to Washington.
Right. Because I put the house on the market because my character puts her house on the market first as a lease, because she still could always come back. So she didn't want to make a permanent move. But actors, my manager told me that a few of his clients have sold their homes and are downsizing. They're still working. They still have wonderful careers, but our salaries have been so condensed. And what we used to make when, for example, let's say on Girlfriends, right? So when I was doing Girlfriends, you would get your initial compensation, and then you always knew that the episode would rerun during the summer, right? That was the excitement. Well, and you would get a certain percentage of your initial compensation. That has changed. When you do a show now, it goes, for example, let's say I did a show on ABC. Well, it would rerun. It would start streaming the next day on abc.com or on Hulu or on Disney. And I would get 27 cents. And they can rerun it. They can. I have so much content on streaming online, and I'll get. Let me show you something.
Here she goes. She's like, "All right, we're gonna show this right now. Hey, I need to see a 5-cent check."
You see all of this?
Yeah.
This is all reruns of In the Heat of the Night. Okay. These.
Hey, my stepdad watches it all the time on the network, whatever that network is.
And hundreds of screenings, of airings of In the Heat of the Night. I think I did like 118 episodes. So
you guys were on it for a hot minute.
There's a lot. Out of all this, $125.
What? Hey, so tell the truth. So you got to get people straight, because I told my mom this, and we had this conversation. I said, the people that are in the scenes behind Ann, they ain't making no money. I told her, I said, they're there, but they're not making no money. And if they
I'm not making any money, and I was there.
All right, so the movie you have out right now.
Yes.
You guys. All right. So what is the deal with everybody in Hollywood? And you're not the only one. I even heard multiple actors say this. They've started funding their own projects.
Self-funding. Self-funding is a very dicey thing to do, right? Because when you make independent films, there's no guarantee that your independent film is going to be purchased. There's no guarantee that your independent film is going to be acquired by a distributor who will then place it on Netflix and Apple and Amazon and Tubi and all of that. There's no guarantee. So you're really rolling the dice. But if you believe in your project so much and you believe that this is a story that needs to be told, and you know you have a great team around you, and you know that it's going to really invoke conversation, you roll the dice and you say, this is worth doing. Well, that's what we did. Now, fortunately, our film was acquired, and you can see it on Tubi and
Prime.
Right? We'll never get our money back. We will never get what we invested. Never, ever.
So it was a labor of love. So why do it?
Purely a labor of love. It was it's an odd way of building an artist's legacy, because it'll always be there. Right. In some form or fashion, it'll always be there. And we loved making it, but we know we'll never be made whole at all, because the distributor gets a percentage. We'll be on. It'll be on forever, and Marty and I would have to live to age 250 to be able to say, okay, well, we were made whole. We'll never be made whole.
We broke even.
Never. Well, that will never happen. But we don't regret a thing.
Yeah, I mean, so it was one of the things in life is that you always wanted to do. So I know you just didn't act in the movie. So did you do any kind of producing, directing? Why for it? So because was it your first time? So let's hear.
Yeah, no, I was one of the co-producers. It was not my first time. I love producing. In fact, I'm in development of two films right now as one of the producers. So producing is a wonderful way to not control, but to help create messages, as I was saying previously, that mean something. Right now, I'm working with Michael T. Williamson on a project. We're in pre-development. And the film is a true film about the first African-American police officer in Los Angeles. He was formerly enslaved, and he migrated to Los Angeles and became the first Black police officer. So
it has a lot to do with your dad then. It had a lot of relations to your dad.
Yeah, my father was a police officer for the Los Angeles Police Department. So it's a story that's near and dear. It's a story that the African-American community needs to know, because we have a very conflicted opinion and belief in law enforcement, which is legitimate, completely legitimate, but there's another side of it too. There's nothing as difficult in law enforcement than being a Black law enforcement officer. Sure.
Oh yeah.
And just like being in the military, there's such a lack of respect for
Black officers,
for Black men and women, or men and women in color in general, who make that commitment, even though it is not respected, not understood. That whole defund the police propaganda. It was, let's work with my point of view is, let's work with law enforcement to make it the best it can be. Because when you defund police departments, the most harmed community are underprivileged communities where crime is crime of convenience and need.
Right.
And so this whole defund the police negatively impacted our communities, because the police, there were fewer police. We're living it here in Los Angeles. Recruitment is really low. So producing allows me the opportunity to tell important stories. So The Addiction of Hope, there were 3 producers. I was one of the 3, and it was wonderful. I love doing it.
Hey, don't worry about it, because I got a refugee that's like 22 years old, and that is a struggling college student. And if they ever need a part in something and you need somebody to fill it, just let me know so I can get them a plane ticket, because this refugee is a financial burden at times.
Well, listen, working in this industry, she'll still be a financial burden.
So she's, hey, I'd rather being a starving college student or a starving actress.
Listen, there's nothing fun about being. No one likes to be around a starving artist. Let me guarantee you.
Hey, Mike. So what you got, man?
Nah, this has been very informative, very impactful, very raw. Like always, great having you on, Emery, and great movie. You got to check it out, guys. Great movie. It's really good writing.
Big Stuff Hope. And I think, Vince, you'll correct me if I'm wrong. I believe it is Apple, Amazon, Tubi, so many, but not Netflix.
Prime, right? Not Netflix. Prime.
Yeah.
I watched it on Prime. Even though I saw it in person, I went.
Yeah, you saw it in person.
Yeah, but I have to make sure I support the cause. You know what I'm saying? So,
well, I really appreciate this because I know you. I know your listeners. Learn a lot from Embrace the Power, and our film is very consistent with that. Is embracing your power and making sure that you remain relevant.
I love it. I love it. And I think the thing is, and I'll say this to everybody when this airs, is that if you, and Ann said it earlier, and then Mike's kind of touched on it, if you're uncomfortable with having adult content conversations, then this is not the place for you, because there's times that you have to be able to have a thick skin to be able to have the conversations, to talk about accountability and the truisms of what everybody goes through in America. And that is, and this is a great segue because Ann just helped me out, because if you check out my new book, Keep It Rolling, I discussed those same issues that Ann went through. I discussed those same issues in the gambit of the struggle of not just being an African-American, but being in America. There is a thing called economicism where, everybody has to fight from an economic status to have status in the world. And it's been a pleasure having you on. Mike, you have anything before we give her the last little words to close us out? Pleasure.
Awesome. And I want to see your other projects. And I've always been a fan since The Living Color, Heat of the Night, and so forth and so on. And what's happening now? I mean, I wish there was a
Well, I really appreciate the opportunity to talk freely and not feel
censored.
There was absolutely no censorship. And any complaints you get about this, don't send them to me. I don't care.
Hey, that's what happens when you get up in it. So, Ann, what foundations do you support? Kind of like some projects for veterans. I can't let you get out of here unless we talk about veteran support and some of the different organizations.
Right. Well, first of all, I co-founded a nonprofit called the Mankind Initiative. And what we do is we literally feed thousands of people a year. We go and we contribute. We collect donated food from Bristol Farms, and Sprouts and Trader Joe's. I mean, major supermarkets in around Southern California, and then we distribute to other nonprofits, or we go directly to the individual's home to provide food. Many of which are veterans who have found themselves on the street. Whoa. So, which is a travesty within itself, and that's another conversation. But we've seen a trend, which is very troubling, that because of ICE, which is a domestic terrorist group, many of our clients are unable to stand in line to get the food. So we now have to go to their homes and other areas where they feel protected so they can get food in their belly. So this is serious stuff. And so if anyone wants to know more about the nonprofit, it's called the Mankind Initiative, mankindinitiative.org. And please contribute. It's a nonprofit. It's a tax deduction for you, but we literally feed thousands of people a year.
Awesome. And guys, that's the thing is, you got to remember that we're a community, and the community helps each of its tribes to make sure things are right. And I use that word tribe as talk because I think the Native Americans had it right, is that when they had a tribe, that means everybody from old to young took care of each other to ensure that everybody had a prosperous life.
That's right. We should be more like that.
That's it, absolutely. So, hey, I appreciate everybody coming on. Mike G, Anne Marie Johnson. Check out our new movie. And this is Vince Bugs with Embrace the Power. Signing off, guys, and keep it rolling.
Keep it rolling. Let's go.